All right, picture this. You're about to walk into that database administrator interview, and you're totally ready to blow them away.
Well, this deep dive is going to give you all the intel you need.
That's right. We've got the inside scoop straight from RoleCatcher. We're talking their database administrator career guide, their interview guide, and even a peek at their platform.
We're going to break it all down so you can tackle those tough interview questions and land your dream job.
Now, when we talk about database administrators, we're not just talking about someone who's good with tech.
Right, you're more than just a tech whiz.
It's a bigger picture.
You're like the guardian of an organization's data. You're making sure it's secure, it's running smoothly, and it meets everyone's needs.
So walk me through this. What does a typical day actually look like for a database administrator?
It's kind of like being a conductor of an orchestra.
Oh, I like that.
But instead of instruments, you're coordinating databases.
Ah,
You're testing and implementing new systems, making sure everything's running smoothly, and keeping that data safe and sound.
so it's a lot of responsibility.
It is. It means putting strong security measures in place and having a plan just in case, anything goes wrong.
Right, because things can go wrong.
Oh, they definitely can.
Now, this RoleCatcher career guide we're looking at, it paints a pretty optimistic picture for anyone thinking about jumping into this field.
Yeah, for sure.
It sounds like the job market's booming, and the salary's not too shabby either.
Oh, no, not shabby at all. The Bureau of Labor Statistics predicts a 10% growth in database administrator jobs just over the next 10 years.
Wow, that's incredible.
That's way faster than average for, pretty much any job out there. And the salary, we're talking somewhere between $70,000 to $120,000 a year.
That's a good chunk of change.
Not bad at all.
No, not bad at all. And it seems like you can find these database administrator jobs all over the place.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
I always just assumed it was mostly tech companies.
Nope, you need them everywhere. We're talking big corporations, government agencies, healthcare facilities. I've even seen them in educational institutions. Basically anywhere that relies on data.
Need someone to manage it all.
Need someone to wrangle it all.
Now, that's where RoleCatcher comes in, right?
Exactly.
Their platform, it can really give you a leg up in your job search and even help you fine-tune your answers for specific roles.
Yeah, and the cool part is they've got this AI that can analyze job descriptions and suggest tailored responses.
Oh, that's interesting.
They've even got a free account where you can save your favorite interview questions and get AI feedback on your responses.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's super helpful. Now, before we get too deep into that, let's dive into some of those common interview questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, here's one that I know comes up a lot. How do you ensure database security?
That's a classic.
It's a classic.
That's a classic.
What do you think the hiring manager is really trying to assess with this question?
I think they want to know how you think about security. Are you just throwing out buzzwords, or do you really get those potential vulnerabilities?
So it's about demonstrating a deep understanding.
Totally. They want to see you've got the knowledge and the experience to prevent those security nightmares.
All right, so how should our listener approach this question?
Well, it's all about showcasing your expertise. Don't just rattle off generic terms like encryption and access control.
Right.
Dive deep into the specifics, explain how you've used those techniques in real-world scenarios. Give them concrete examples.
And what about regular backups? Those are essential, right?
Oh, absolutely. Backups are your safety net. Having a solid disaster recovery plan shows you're thinking ahead. You're not just reacting to problems, you're proactively preventing them.
It's about being prepared for the worst.
Exactly.
Now, are there any pitfalls our listeners should avoid when answering this question?
The biggest one, being vague. Don't just say you'll secure the database. Show them you know how. Detail the steps you've taken, the results you've achieved. Paint a picture.
Okay, and this is where RoleCatcher's AI can really come in handy, right?
Yeah.
It can analyze job descriptions and suggest those tailored responses that highlight the most relevant security skills for that specific role.
It's like having a cheat sheet for your interview. You can see exactly what they're looking for and how to present your experience in the best possible light.
That's awesome. All right, let's move on to another common question.
Yeah.
How do you optimize database performance?
This is where the technical stuff comes in.
This is where the rubber meets the road.
Right. They want to see your problem-solving skills in action.
So what kind of techniques should our listener be prepared to discuss?
Think indexing, query optimization, database normalization. These are your bread and butter.
Now, for our listener who might not be familiar with these, can you break those down a bit?
Sure. Imagine you've got this huge library, millions of books.
Okay, I can picture that.
And someone asks you to find one specific book. Indexing is like having a card catalog.
Ah, that makes sense.
It points you right to the shelf where that book is located. Query optimization is figuring out the fastest way to find that book.
Okay.
And database normalization, well, that's like organizing all those books efficiently so everything's in its place.
So it's about making the database work smarter, not harder.
Exactly. You want to avoid those bottlenecks that slow things down. And when you're answering this question, don't just list these techniques. Tell a story about a time you actually used them.
Right. Give a real-world example.
That's it. How did you identify a performance bottleneck? What steps did you take to fix it? That's what they want to hear.
Now, are there any common pitfalls our listeners should avoid when tackling this question?
Don't get bogged down in jargon. Explain things clearly and concisely, as if you're talking to your grandma.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. And don't be afraid to show off your passion. Let them see how much you love optimizing databases.
And again, RoleCatcher's AI can be a huge help here.
Oh, yeah. It can analyze the job description and suggest those specific examples that are relevant to the role you're applying for.
Okay, next question. How do you handle database backups and disaster recovery?
Oh, this is a big one.
It's a big
A
one.
really big one.
This seems pretty straightforward, but what do you think the interview is really looking for here?
They want to know you've got a solid plan, and you're not going to panic when things go south. They're looking for someone who's proactive, detail-oriented, someone who's got their act together.
So what are the key points our listeners should cover when answering this question?
First off, show off your experience with different backup types. Full, incremental, differential. Explain why each one's important and when you'd use them.
And what about offsite storage? That's essential, right?
Oh yeah, offsite storage is your insurance policy. If something happens to your primary data center, you need a backup. And redundancy is key. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, right?
Right. And what about testing those disaster recovery plans? That's important too, isn't it?
Absolutely. You got to make sure your plan actually works. Talk about how you've developed and tested those disaster recovery plans, the specific tools and methodologies you've used.
So it's not just about having a plan. It's about knowing that plan will work when you need it most.
Exactly. It's all about preparedness.
Now, any common mistakes to watch out for?
Vague answers. Backing up regularly. That's not going to cut it. Be specific. What types of backups? How often? Where's that data stored? They want to see a clear, well-defined process.
Okay, and here's another area where RoleCatcher's AI can really come in handy.
Oh, for sure. It can analyze the company's industry and suggest ways to tailor your answer to their specific disaster recovery standards.
So it's about understanding those industry nuances.
Yeah, like if you're applying for a role in finance, you'll want to emphasize your understanding of compliance requirements, things like SOX or PCI DSS.
Right, because different industries have different regulations and standards.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on to a question that's all about problem solving. How do you troubleshoot database issues?
Ooh, this one's fun.
It seems like it's designed to see how you think on your feet, how you handle those unexpected challenges.
Like a test of your detective skills, you know?
So how should our listener approach this question?
Walk them through your troubleshooting process. Start at the beginning. How do you identify the root cause of an issue?
Okay, so it's a step-by-step approach.
Exactly. Mention things like analyzing those error logs, monitoring server resources, using diagnostic tools.
So it's about showing that you have a systematic approach, that you're not just randomly trying things.
Absolutely. And a real-life example can really bring this to life. Describe a time you faced a really challenging database issue, the steps you took to troubleshoot it, and of course, the solution you implemented. Makes a good story.
A good story with a happy ending.
With a happy ending, yes. This is your chance to shine, show them you can handle anything they throw your way.
Okay, and what are some potential pitfalls to watch out for?
Don't just list tools and techniques. Show them you know how to use them. Focus on your analytical thinking, your step-by-step approach to problem solving.
So it's about demonstrating your thought process, not just your knowledge.
Exactly. And don't forget to tailor your answer to the specific troubleshooting scenarios they might face in that role. Look at the job description, see what challenges they're dealing with, and address those directly.
And of course, RoleCatcher's AI can help with that tailoring process.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's like having a personalized study guide for your interview, helping you anticipate those tough questions and prepare answers that will blow them away.
Okay, let's move on to another question. How do you ensure database scalability?
This one's all about thinking big picture, building systems that can handle massive amounts of data without breaking a sweat.
It's about future-proofing those systems.
Exactly. They want to know you can anticipate growth and build for the future.
So what are some key concepts our listeners should cover in their answer?
Well, you got to talk about horizontal and vertical scaling.
Right, right.
Explain what each approach entails and share examples of how you've used them in the past. You can also mention things like database partitioning and your experience with distributed databases.
Now, could you break down those concepts a bit? I mean, for our listener who might not be as familiar with them.
Sure, imagine you've got a small house and your family's growing.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Vertical scaling is like adding another floor to your existing house. Horizontal scaling is like building another house next door and connecting them.
Ah, that makes sense.
Partitioning is like dividing your house into separate rooms, and distributed databases are like having multiple houses spread across a neighborhood, each one holding part of your data.
So it's about choosing the right strategy based on how much data you need to manage and how that data needs to be accessed.
Exactly. And when you're answering this question, again, avoid that overly technical jargon. Focus on the strategic thinking behind your decisions and how they impact the organization's ability to manage data effectively.
Okay, and this is another area where RoleCatcher's AI can really help you tailor your answer.
Oh, it can. It can analyze the job description and suggest specific examples that are relevant to the role you're applying for.
Awesome. All right, let's move on to a question that focuses on security again. How do you manage database access and user permissions?
This is all about protecting that sensitive information and making sure the right people have access to the right data.
It's about control and accountability.
Exactly. They want to know you're not just throwing open the doors to the data vault.
Right, right.
You need to demonstrate your ability to keep things secure while ensuring the right people have access to what they need.
Okay, so what are some key points our listeners should address when answering this question?
Start by explaining your approach to role-based access control.
Okay.
How do you determine who gets access to what? How do you make sure those permissions are enforced? Mention things like audit logging to show you're on top of tracking database activity, making sure everything's above board.
So it's about having a clear system in place and making sure it's actually being followed.
Exactly. And don't just talk about restricting access, give specific examples of access control measures you've implemented and how they align with industry best practices.
So it's about showing that you understand the principles and that you've actually applied them in real-world situations.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to get specific. Talk about the tools and technologies you've used, the challenges you've faced, and how you've overcome them.
And of course, RoleCatcher's AI can analyze the job description and suggest tailored responses that reflect the specific security needs of the organization or industry.
It's like having a secret decoder ring for those job descriptions, helping you unlock the hidden messages and tailor your answers to exactly what they're looking for.
Okay, next question. How do you handle database schema changes?
Oh, this one is all about being adaptable and making sure those changes don't break anything.
It's about managing change effectively.
Exactly. Think of it like renovating a house while people are still living in it. You need to be careful, strategic, minimize disruptions.
So what are some key techniques our listeners should discuss in their answer?
Well, version control, that's your best friend here. Highlight its importance for tracking those schema changes. Then, walk them through your process for developing and executing those schema migration scripts, emphasizing the role of testing.
Testing is key.
Testing is absolutely key. You don't want to introduce bugs or corrupt data. And don't forget about communication. Explain how you'd collaborate with developers, other stakeholders, to plan and execute those changes smoothly. They want to see you're a team player.
So it's about having those technical skills, but also those soft skills like communication and collaboration.
Absolutely. It's a package deal.
And of course, RoleCatcher's AI can help you tailor your answer to the specific development methodologies mentioned in the job description.
Yeah, it can. It's like having a personal translator for the language of tech, helping you speak their language and connect with those hiring managers on a deeper level.
Now, we talked earlier about backups and disaster recovery, but this next question seems to focus on a slightly different aspect. How do you ensure database reliability and availability?
This one's all about uptime, making sure that database is up and running 24/7 no matter what.
So it's about preventing those dreaded downtime incidents.
Exactly. They want to hear about your strategies for minimizing any disruptions that could impact the organization.
All right, what are some key points our listeners should cover in their response?
Think high availability clusters, load balancing. These are your secret weapons for creating redundant systems that can handle those unexpected failures.
Can you explain those concepts a little bit further for our listeners?
Sure, imagine there's a power outage at your house.
Okay, got it.
A high availability cluster is like having a backup generator that automatically kicks in, keeps those lights on. Load balancing is like having multiple power lines feeding your house, distributing the load so no one line gets overloaded.
So it's about having those backup systems in place, just in case something goes wrong. Right.
Exactly. You want to make sure the database is always accessible, even if a server crashes or there's a network outage.
Okay, and any common mistakes to avoid when answering this question?
Don't get lost in the technical weeds. Focus on the big picture, your strategies for keeping that database humming, and how those strategies align with the organization's needs.
So it's about showing that you understand the business impact of downtime and that you have the skills to prevent it.
Exactly.
And again, RoleCatcher's AI can analyze the job description to identify any specific requirements related to database reliability and availability.
Yeah, it can really help you tailor your answer to the specific needs of the company.
Okay, last question in this section. How do you handle database migration and upgrades?
This one is all about managing those complex projects, making sure those transitions go smoothly.
It's about being organized, having a plan, and being able to execute it flawlessly.
Exactly. You don't want to be the person who crashes the system during an upgrade.
So what are some key techniques our listeners should mention in their answer?
Highlight the importance of thorough planning and testing. Nobody likes surprises, especially when it comes to data.
Right.
Explain your process for developing and executing those migration scripts, how you use version control to keep track of those changes. Also, discuss your experience with different migration methodologies and how you choose the best approach for each situation.
So it's about demonstrating that you have the experience and the expertise to handle these complex projects.
Absolutely.
Any common mistakes to watch out for?
Don't downplay the risks. Migrations and upgrades can be tricky.
Right, they can.
Explain how you anticipate and mitigate potential problems and how you communicate with stakeholders to keep everyone in the loop.
So it's about being transparent and proactive.
Exactly.
And of course, RoleCatcher's AI can help you tailor your answer to reflect the specific database technologies or versions mentioned in the job description.
Yeah, it can. It's like having a personal stylist for your interview responses, helping you choose the perfect outfit that will make you shine.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, diving deep into those common database administrator interview questions. But now, let's shift gears slightly and talk about how RoleCatcher can help you prepare for these questions and really nail those answers.
Yeah, let's do that.
Their AI, it's like having a secret weapon in your interview arsenal.
It really is.
It analyzes job descriptions and suggests those tailored responses that highlight your most relevant skills and experience.
It's like having a personal interview coach in your pocket.
That sounds amazing.
Okay.
And they even offer a free account where you can try out their AI and get personalized feedback on your responses.
Exactly. You can even use RoleCatcher to practice answering common interview questions and get AI-powered feedback on your delivery and content.
Okay, so let's get back to those interview questions and delve even deeper into how to craft those impressive answers. Let's revisit that first question about ensuring database security. Remember, the interviewer wants to see more than just a theoretical understanding. They want to see how you apply those security principles in real-world scenarios.
Yeah, you got to walk the walk.
One effective approach is to use the STAR method. Situation, task, action, result.
Ah, the STAR method, a classic.
It helps you structure your answers in a way that really showcases your skills and experience.
It's a great framework.
So, can you walk us through how our listener could use the STAR method to answer this question?
Absolutely. Start by describing a specific situation where you are responsible for ensuring database security.
Okay.
It could be a previous job, a project, even a volunteer experience.
So, set the scene.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then explain the task you were assigned, the security objectives you needed to achieve.
Okay, so outline the challenge.
Right. Then describe the actions you took to complete the task. Be specific about the security measures you implemented, the tools you used, any challenges you faced.
And finally,
explain the result of your actions. Did you successfully secure the database? Did you identify and mitigate any vulnerabilities? Were there any lessons learned?
So it's about telling a complete story with a beginning, middle, and end. And RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you refine your STAR stories to make them even more compelling.
It can. It's like having a personal editor for your interview answers.
Okay, let's revisit that second question about optimizing database performance. What are some additional tips for crafting a standout answer?
One key is to demonstrate your understanding of different performance tuning techniques and how to choose the right approach for each situation.
So it's about being a problem solver.
It is. You might want to mention your experience with performance monitoring tools, your ability to analyze those performance metrics, and your understanding of how different database configurations can impact performance.
Can you give our listener an example of how they could showcase these skills in their answer?
Sure, let's say you were tasked with optimizing the performance of a database that was experiencing those slow query times.
Okay, a common problem.
You could describe how you used a performance monitoring tool to pinpoint the bottleneck, analyze the query execution plan, and then implemented an indexing strategy to speed things up.
So you're showing that you can identify the problem and implement a solution that delivers results.
That's what they want to see. And guess what? RoleCatcher's AI, it can actually provide you with a library of similar examples tailored to different database technologies and performance challenges.
It's like having a toolbox full of real-world examples ready to use in your interview.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on to that third question about database backups and disaster recovery. What are some additional insights that can help you craft a truly impressive answer?
Demonstrate your understanding of those different backup types, full, incremental, and differential, and their pros and cons. It's about showcasing your ability to choose the right tool for the job.
Okay, can you break those down for our listener?
Sure. A full backup is like taking a snapshot of your entire database.
Got it.
Incremental backups, they only capture those changes since the last backup, while differential backups capture changes since that last full backup.
Okay, so each approach has its own trade-offs.
Right, in terms of speed, storage space, recovery time.
So it's about understanding those trade-offs and making informed decisions based on the organization's needs.
Exactly. And to really stand out, showcase your experience with various backup and recovery tools, your knowledge of those offsite storage options, and your ability to develop and test those disaster recovery plans.
And once again, RoleCatcher's AI can help you tailor your answer to reflect the specific backup and recovery requirements mentioned in that job description.
It's like having a personal research assistant for your interview prep.
All right, let's revisit that question about troubleshooting database issues. What are some additional tips for really showcasing your problem-solving skills?
Provide a structured approach to troubleshooting, outlining the steps you'd take to identify and resolve an issue. Think of it like a detective solving a case.
Okay, I like that analogy.
You gather evidence, analyze those clues, and work your way methodically to a solution.
Let's walk through an example.
Okay.
Let's say you're faced with a database that's suddenly gone offline. What would be your first step?
First, I'd check that database server's status. Is it even running? Are there any error messages in the server logs?
Okay, so start with the basics.
Start with the basics, yeah. Make sure it's not something simple.
And if the server is running fine and there are no obvious error messages?
Then I'd check the database connectivity. Can I connect to it from another machine? Are there any network issues preventing access? It's about systematically eliminating possibilities.
Okay, so you're narrowing it down.
Narrowing it down, yep.
And if the connection's solid?
Then it's time to dig into the database itself. Are any data files corrupted? Are there any long-running transactions blocking other processes? It's all about finding that culprit.
So it's about having that systematic approach, that methodical process for identifying and resolving issues.
That's it. And RoleCatcher's AI can actually provide you with a library of similar troubleshooting scenarios and step-by-step guides for resolving those common database issues.
It's like having a cheat sheet for those tricky troubleshooting scenarios. All right, let's move on to that question about ensuring database scalability. What are some additional insights that can help you craft a standout answer?
Highlight your understanding of the trade-offs involved in different scalability solutions.
So it's about making informed decisions based on the specific needs of the organization.
Yeah, like vertical scaling, that's adding more resources to a server.
Okay.
It's like supersizing your meal. It's a quick fix, but might not be the healthiest long-term solution.
Right.
Horizontal scaling is distributing the database across multiple servers. That's like inviting your friends to share the meal, requires more coordination, but can handle a larger group.
So you're either supersizing or inviting friends.
Exactly. And you want to showcase your experience with different scalability techniques like sharding, replication, caching. Explain how you've chosen the right approach based on factors like data volume, query patterns, and of course, budget.
And RoleCatcher's AI can help you tailor your answer to reflect those specific scalability requirements mentioned in the job description.
It's like having a custom-fit suit for your interview, tailored to make you look your best.
All right, let's revisit that question about managing database access and user permissions. What are some additional tips for demonstrating your understanding of data security?
Don't just talk the talk, walk the walk.
Right, show them what you've done.
Provide those specific examples of how you've implemented those access control measures in the past and how they aligned with industry best practices or regulatory requirements.
Okay, so let's say you're working in the healthcare industry where data privacy is paramount.
Yeah.
What kind of access control measures would you implement to ensure CoTech compliance?
I'd implement role-based access control to ensure only authorized personnel can access those sensitive medical records.
Okay.
Think of it like a hospital with different security levels.
Okay.
Doctors have access to certain areas, nurses have access to others, and visitors have limited access.
Makes sense.
Audit logging is like having security cameras tracking who accessed what information and when.
So you're creating a system where every action is tracked.
Yeah, and accountability is paramount. And of course, encryption is key to protect that sensitive information from unauthorized access.
Right.
It's like putting those medical records in a locked safe. Only authorized personnel have the key to open.
That's a great example.
And RoleCatcher's AI can actually provide you with a library of similar examples tailored to different industries and regulatory frameworks.
Okay, let's move on to that question about handling database schema changes. What are some additional tips for showcasing your ability to manage change effectively?
Highlight your experience with different schema migration tools and techniques, emphasizing the importance of version control and automated testing.
So it's about having a smooth, controlled process for implementing those changes.
Exactly. Think of it like updating software on your phone,
Okay, yeah.
You want to make sure that new version works seamlessly without causing any glitches or losing any data.
Right.
And don't forget about communication. Explain how you'd work with developers, other stakeholders to plan and execute those changes without disrupting the flow.
So it's like coordinating a construction project.
It is. You got to communicate effectively with everyone involved, minimize those disruptions, ensure a successful outcome.
And of course, RoleCatcher's AI can help you tailor your answer to reflect those specific development methodologies and change management practices mentioned in the job description.
It's like having a personalized script for your interview, tailored to that specific role and company you're applying for.
Okay, now let's revisit that question about ensuring database reliability and availability. What are some additional tips for demonstrating your understanding of those high availability solutions?
Give specific examples of high availability solutions you've implemented in the past and how those solutions benefited the organization.
So real-world examples.
Real-world examples, yeah. You could describe how you implemented a failover cluster to ensure the database remained available even if one server crashed, or how you implemented load balancing to distribute traffic across multiple servers.
Can you explain those concepts a little bit further for our listeners?
Sure. Imagine you're watching a live stream and your internet connection drops.
Well,
A failover cluster is like having a backup internet connection that automatically kicks in so you don't miss a second of the action.
so it's seamless.
Seamless, yep. Load balancing is like having multiple servers working together to handle the stream, preventing any one server from getting overwhelmed.
Okay, so you're distributing the load.
Exactly. And don't forget to highlight your understanding of key metrics like RTO and RPO. Explain how you've used those metrics to design and implement those high availability solutions that meet the organization's specific needs.
So it's about demonstrating that you understand the technical details and the business impact of those decisions.
Exactly. It's about showing that you can think strategically and make those informed decisions.
And again, RoleCatcher's AI can analyze the job description to identify any specific availability requirements.
Yeah, and help you tailor your answer accordingly.
Okay, last question. How do you handle database migration and upgrades?
This is all about demonstrating your project management skills, making sure those transitions go smoothly without any data loss or downtime.
So it's like planning a big move. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You need a detailed plan to pack, transport, and unpack those belongings without losing or breaking anything.
So what are some key steps our listeners should highlight in their answer?
Start by emphasizing the importance of thorough planning and testing.
Okay.
Explain how you develop a migration plan, including timelines, resource requirements, and a risk assessment to anticipate any potential hiccups.
So it's about being organized and proactive.
Exactly. And communication is key. Explain how you'd keep those stakeholders informed throughout the process, providing regular updates and addressing any concerns.
So it's like keeping everyone in the loop during a move.
It is. You want to make sure everyone knows what's happening, when to expect those boxes to arrive.
And of course, RoleCatcher's AI can analyze the job description to identify any specific migration and upgrade challenges.
Oh yeah, it can definitely help you anticipate those potential pitfalls and prepare those answers that demonstrate your expertise.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, delving deep into those common database administrator interview questions and how to craft those impressive answers. But now let's shift gears slightly and talk about how RoleCatcher can help you not only prepare for the interview, but also navigate that entire job search process.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
One of the most powerful features of RoleCatcher is their AI-powered CV and resume builder.
Oh, that's a game changer.
It's like having a personal branding expert on your side.
It really is.
Okay, how does it actually work?
You simply upload your existing CV or resume, and RoleCatcher's AI takes over. It analyzes your document and identifies areas for improvement, suggesting tailored changes based on the specific job descriptions you're targeting.
So it's like having a personalized editor for your CV and resume.
Exactly. It can suggest improvements to your language, structure, and content. Welcome back. Today, we're going to dive even deeper into the world of database administration. We're going beyond those technical skills.
Right, because it's not just about the tech.
It's not just about being a tech whiz. It's about those soft skills that can really make or break your career.
So let's talk about those soft skills. What are some of the essentials for a database administrator?
Well, communication's got to be at the top of the list.
Makes sense. You're dealing with a lot of complex information.
Right, and you need to be able to explain those complex technical concepts to non-technical people. Think managers, business users, anyone who might not be fluent in, database speak.
Right, so you're kind of like a translator.
Yeah, exactly. You're bridging that gap between the technical and the non-technical world.
Okay, so communication is key. What else?
Collaboration. You're going to be working closely with developers, system administrators, all sorts of stakeholders. So strong collaboration skills are a must-have.
It's a team effort.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And then there's problem solving. As a database administrator, you're the go-to person when things go wrong.
The firefighter.
Yeah. So you need to be able to stay calm under pressure, think critically, and find solutions to those inevitable database hiccups.
It's about being resourceful and resilient.
Exactly. And let's not forget attention to detail. You're dealing with sensitive data, so accuracy and precision are super important.
It's all about the details.
It is.
Okay, so we've talked about these soft skills. Now, how can our listener actually showcase them during an interview?
It's all about using specific examples.
Right, because anyone can say they're a good communicator.
Exactly. So instead of just saying you're a team player, share a story about a time you collaborated effectively with others to achieve a common goal. Give them concrete examples of how you've solved problems, demonstrated that attention to detail in your previous roles.
Show, don't tell.
Exactly.
Now, RoleCatcher's AI, it can actually help you tailor your responses to highlight these soft skills based on the specific requirements of the job description.
It's like having a personal branding expert on your side, helping you present your best self and showcase those skills that will resonate most with the hiring manager.
Okay, let's talk about the work environment for a database administrator.
Right.
What can our listener expect in terms of a typical work setting?
Most database administrators work in traditional office environments,
Oh,
but remote work is becoming increasingly common, especially in the tech industry.
so it depends on the company and the role.
It does. And the work-life balance can vary too. Some database administrators might be on call for mission-critical systems.
Oh, right, because those systems need to be up and running all the time.
Exactly. So it's a good idea to ask about those expectations during the interview process, Get a clear understanding of their on-call policies and any expectations for working outside of normal business hours.
Right, because that can really impact your personal life.
It can.
And what about the stress level? I mean, I imagine things can get pretty intense when you're responsible for keeping those databases running smoothly.
Yeah, it can be stressful at times, especially when you're dealing with critical systems or tight deadlines. But a lot of organizations are prioritizing employee well-being these days. They're offering resources to help manage that stress.
So it's important to look for companies that prioritize work-life balance and offer support for their employees' mental health.
Definitely. And RoleCatcher, they actually provide insights into the work environment and culture of different organizations.
Oh, really? How so?
Their platform includes company reviews and ratings from current and former employees.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Gives you a glimpse into that work-life balance, the stress level, the overall culture of potential employers.
It's like having a behind-the-scenes look at what it's really like to work there.
Exactly. And it can help you avoid those toxic workplaces.
Okay, let's talk about salary expectations. We mentioned the salary range earlier, but what are some tips for negotiating a competitive salary for a database administrator role?
Well, first things first, do your research. Research that average salary for database administrators in your location, your industry, and your experience level.
Right. Know your worth.
Exactly. Websites like Glassdoor and Salary.com can be helpful resources for this. And of course, RoleCatcher provides salary data as well.
Oh, right. We mentioned that earlier.
Yeah. Their platform includes salary insights that can help you benchmark your expectations, really understand what you're worth in the market.
So it's about being informed and being prepared to advocate for yourself during those salary negotiations.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to ask for what you deserve. Be confident in your skills and experience, and be prepared to walk away if the offer doesn't meet your expectations.
Right. Know your worth, but also be realistic.
Be realistic. Yeah, it's a two-way street. Be respectful of the employer's budget constraints and be willing to compromise.
Find that win-win situation.
Exactly.
And RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you with that salary negotiation process.
It can.
Their AI can analyze your skills and experience, suggest a salary range based on your qualifications and the market demand for those skills. They also have a salary negotiation guide that provides tips and strategies for navigating this process effectively.
It's like having a personal negotiation coach in your corner, helping you get that best possible outcome.
Okay, so we've talked about salary negotiations. Now, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the future of this field. What trends are shaping the future of database administration?
Well, the field of database administration is constantly evolving,
It's tech, so it's always changing.
always changing. New technologies and trends are emerging all the time, so you need to be adaptable, always willing to learn new things.
So what are some of those key trends?
Cloud computing is huge. More and more organizations are migrating their databases to the cloud. So database administrators need expertise in cloud database platforms like Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud Platform.
So it's not just about those traditional on-premises databases anymore.
It's not, no. You gotta know the cloud.
And what about big data? I hear that term thrown around a lot.
Yeah, big data is a game changer too. Organizations are collecting massive amounts of data, which requires specialized skills in managing those large-scale databases.
Okay, so what specific skills are needed to manage big data?
You need to be familiar with technologies like Hadoop, Spark, NoSQL databases.
Those are all about handling massive data sets.
Exactly. They're designed to handle the volume, the velocity, and the variety of big data. It's a whole different ballgame.
Okay, what about artificial intelligence? Is that impacting the field of database administration?
AI is everywhere these days, and it's definitely making its mark on database administration. It's being used for things like performance tuning, security monitoring, even capacity planning.
So database administrators need to understand AI and how to use those AI-powered tools.
Absolutely. It's about staying ahead of the curve, being comfortable with those cutting-edge technologies.
And RoleCatcher's platform, it can be a valuable resource for staying updated on those trends and identifying the skills you need to stay competitive.
It's like having a personalized roadmap for your career, guiding you towards those in-demand skills.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about networking. How important is networking for database administrators?
Networking is essential in any field, but especially in tech.
It's all about who you know.
Yeah, it's about building relationships, sharing knowledge, staying connected.
So it's not just about going to those big industry events and collecting business cards.
It's not just about that. It's about building genuine connections, fostering mutually beneficial relationships.
And there are so many ways to network these days.
So many ways. You've got your traditional conferences and workshops, but online networking is just as important.
What are some effective ways to network online?
LinkedIn is a goldmine. Connect with other professionals, join relevant groups, participate in discussions.
It's not just for job hopping anymore.
It's not. And don't underestimate the power of online forums and communities.
Like Reddit.
Like Reddit, exactly. Stack Overflow is great for technical questions.
And RoleCatcher actually has a network management tool built into their platform.
They do. It helps you keep track of your contacts, manage your job search network, even send personalized messages.
It's like a CRM for your professional network.
It is.
Now, let's talk about some of the challenges that database administrators face in today's rapidly evolving technological landscape.
One of the biggest challenges is keeping up with that ever-increasing complexity of those database systems. It's a lot to keep up with.
What's driving that complexity?
Well, you've got the explosion of data, the adoption of cloud computing, the rise of big data, the increasing use of AI and machine learning. All of these trends are adding layers of complexity.
So how do database administrators adapt to this complexity? Is it just about working longer hours?
It's definitely not about burning the midnight oil. It's about being proactive, embracing those new technologies, continuously updating their skills.
This is a mindset shift.
It is. You got to be a lifelong learner, constantly seeking out new knowledge and
Like
challenges.
RoleCatcher's platform can help with that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Their Career Compass tool can help you identify those skills you need to stay competitive, and their library of resources can help keep you up to date.
It's like having a personal trainer for your career.
It is, pushing you to grow and adapt to those ever-changing demands of the tech industry.
Okay, let's talk about the rewards of being a database administrator. It's not all stress and long hours, right?
Oh, definitely not. One of the biggest rewards is knowing that you're playing a critical role in the success of an organization.
It's a mission-critical role.
It is. Data is the lifeblood of any modern business, and database administrators are the guardians of that data.
So it's about more than just managing databases. It's about enabling organizations to leverage that power of data.
Absolutely. You're making sure those systems run smoothly, that data is secure and accessible.
And what about the intellectual challenge? I imagine it's a pretty stimulating career.
It's very stimulating. The field is constantly evolving, which keeps things interesting. You're always learning, solving complex problems, finding new ways to improve those systems.
So it's a great career for those who are passionate about technology.
Definitely. It's challenging, it's rewarding, and your skills are in high demand.
In RoleCatcher's platform, it can help you stay engaged and motivated throughout your career.
Yeah, their platform provides a wealth of resources for continuous learning, career development, and networking. It's like having a personal cheerleader for your career, encouraging you to push yourself and reach your full potential.
Now, let's revisit that crucial skill we discussed earlier, communication. We talked about it in terms of working with colleagues and stakeholders,
Yeah.
but it's also crucial for those high-pressure interview settings, right?
Oh, absolutely. You need to be able to articulate your technical understanding in a clear, concise, relatable way. Those interviewers, they want to see that you can not only solve problems, but also explain those solutions in a way that everyone can understand.
So what are some tips for communicating technical information effectively during an interview?
Avoid jargon like the plague.
Okay, that's a good one.
I know it's tempting to show off that technical vocabulary, but using overly complex terms can alienate those interviewers who might not be as familiar with the specifics.
It's about finding that balance between showcasing your knowledge and making sure everyone understands what you're talking about.
Exactly. Focus on using plain language that anyone can grasp.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple, yeah. Another helpful tip is to use analogies or real-world examples to illustrate your points.
Ah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it can make those abstract concepts more concrete, more relatable, especially for those interviewers who might not have that technical background.
Okay, can you give us an example of how you might use an analogy in an interview?
Sure. Let's say you're explaining database indexing. You could compare it to the index at the back of a book.
Okay.
It helps you quickly locate specific information. Just as that book index provides a roadmap to the contents, a database index helps the system quickly locate specific data records, improving that query performance.
I love that analogy. It's so clear and easy to understand, even if you've never worked with databases before.
Exactly. And don't forget about body language. Maintain eye contact. Sit up straight. Project confidence.
I'm all about those nonverbal cues.
It is. Your nonverbal cues can convey just as much as your words, so make sure you're presenting yourself as a confident and capable professional.
And practicing those responses beforehand can really help, especially for those technical questions.
Absolutely. RoleCatcher's AI-powered interview practice tool can be a game changer. It allows you to record your responses to common interview questions and get feedback on your delivery, content, even your body language.
So it's like having a mock interview without having to schedule one.
Exactly. It's a great way to iron out those wrinkles and boost your confidence.
Okay, we've talked a lot about specific interview questions and techniques, but let's zoom out for a moment and talk about the overall impression you want to make during an interview. What are those key takeaways?
You want to present yourself as competent, confident, enthusiastic. Show them that you're passionate about databases and eager to contribute.
It's about more than just your technical skills, right?
It is. It's about showcasing your personality, your fit with the company culture. Do your research, understand their values, their mission, and try to align your responses with their culture.
Show them you're a good fit for the team.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher's platform can help you with this. They have company profiles, insights into their culture and values.
Oh, wow, that's really helpful.
Yeah, they even have a feature that helps you identify companies whose values align with your own.
So it's not just about finding any job, it's about finding the right job.
It's about finding a place where you can thrive.
Okay, let's shift gears and talk about salary negotiations.
All right.
It's one thing to get the offer, it's another to negotiate a compensation package that truly reflects your worth.
Absolutely. Salary negotiation can be tricky, but it's an essential step in securing a fair and competitive offer.
So what are your top tips for negotiating effectively?
Well, research is key. Know the average salary range for database administrators in your area, your industry. Sites like Glassdoor and Salary.com can be helpful for that. And remember, RoleCatcher provides salary data too.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. Their platform gives you those insights into salary ranges based on location, experience, company size.
It's a great resource. Once you've done your research, be prepared to articulate your value proposition.
What does that mean?
It means highlighting those skills and experience that are in high demand, that align with the specific needs of the organization, and try to quantify your accomplishments whenever possible.
Give me an example.
Instead of just saying you improved database performance, quantify that improvement. Say something like, I optimized database queries, resulting in a 20% reduction in query execution time.
So it's about being specific and showing the impact of your work.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask for what you deserve. Be confident in your value. Be prepared to walk away if the offer doesn't meet those expectations.
Right. Know your worth, but also be realistic.
Be realistic, yeah. Remember, salary negotiation is a two-way street. Be respectful of the employer's budget constraints and be willing to compromise.
Find that win-win solution.
Exactly. And don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you with the salary negotiation process, too.
Right. They've got that salary negotiation guide, and their AI can suggest a salary range based on your skills and experience.
It's like having your own personal agent working for you.
Okay, let's talk about the importance of continuous learning for database administrators.
Ooh, this is so crucial.
The tech industry is constantly changing, so how can database administrators keep their skills sharp and stay ahead of the curve?
Well, professional development is essential.
What are some effective ways to do that?
Attending industry conferences, workshops, that's a great way to network and learn about new technologies.
Okay.
Pursuing certifications, that can demonstrate your expertise, give you a competitive edge.
Right, those certifications carry a lot of weight.
They do, they do. And taking online courses, that's a really flexible and affordable way to learn new skills at your own pace.
And what about reading industry publications, participating in those online communities?
Those are fantastic ways to stay up to date and connect with other professionals. You can learn a lot from reading blogs and articles by those industry experts. Participating in online forums can help you get different perspectives and troubleshoot those tricky technical challenges.
Yeah, and RoleCatcher's platform can be a valuable resource for all that professional development stuff.
Totally. They've got a whole library of resources to help keep your skills sharp.
Absolutely. They've got career guides, skill guides, interview guides, even a directory of training providers and certification programs. And they even have this feature that helps you figure out which skills are in high demand in your industry.
So you can focus on what's really important.
It's like having a personal career coach in your pocket, always guiding you towards what you need to know.
Okay, so we've talked about professional development, but let's shift gears a little and talk about work-life balance for database administrators.
It's so important, especially in this field.
It can be demanding, stressful. Right. If you don't take care of yourself, it can lead to burnout, lower productivity, even health problems. It's like trying to run a marathon without training. You might start strong, but eventually you'll hit a wall.
So how can you achieve that work-life balance as a database administrator? Setting boundaries seems crucial.
Setting those boundaries is huge, yeah, especially when you're often on call. Avoid checking email or working on projects outside of work hours whenever possible. Create that mental separation so you can actually relax and recharge.
So about switching off.
Yeah, exactly. And make time for things you actually enjoy, spending time with family and friends, hobbies, even just taking some time for yourself.
Self-care is so important.
It's essential. It's like refueling your car. You can't just keep driving without filling up the tank.
What about breaks during the day? It's easy to get caught up in your work.
It is, but taking those short breaks throughout the day can actually make you more focused and productive in the long run. Get up, move around, stretch. Step outside for a few minutes.
Just to clear your head.
It's like hitting that reset button on your brain.
And what about vacation time?
Use it. Don't feel guilty about taking time off. It can help you come back feeling refreshed and motivated.
It's an investment in your well-being.
Yeah, like taking your car in for a tune-up, a little preventive maintenance can help you avoid bigger problems down the line.
And RoleCatcher's platform, it provides some insights into the work-life balance and company culture of different organizations.
They do, yeah. It's really helpful.
So you can see if a company actually walks the walk when it comes to employee well-being.
You can read reviews from current and former employees, get a sense of the work-life balance, stress level, the overall vibe.
Like peeking behind the curtain.
Exactly. It's about finding a company that truly values work-life balance, a place where you can thrive both professionally and personally.
Well, I think we've covered a ton of ground today.
We have.
We talked about everything from technical and soft skills to the work environment, salary expectations, the future of the field, and even ethical considerations, resources, and self-care.
It's been a pretty comprehensive deep dive.
I hope our listener feels empowered and ready to tackle that database administrator interview.
I hope so too. Remember, preparation is key. Research that company, practice those answers.
And use those amazing resources like RoleCatcher.
Exactly. RoleCatcher can give you that extra edge you need. And most importantly, be yourself and let your passion for databases shine through.
That's great advice. Good luck out there.
It's been a pleasure diving deep into the world of database administration with you today.
Until next time, happy data diving.